5 real camping horror stories.
We found a little kid's shoe. We found a little kid's backpack.
It started with a quiet hike to mark a land boundary until they found a slashed backpack and everything turned creepy. In another clip, all seemed still until the shadows shifted and the silence turned sinister. These are the 5 most chilling real-life encounters ever documented by urban explorers and paranormal investigators. But before we go deeper, don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep your lights on. You're going to need them. 5. Haunted Quarry. Dartmoor's ghost in the water.
She could have just avoided it, but no, she goes right through it. People have said that it's a very unusual and cool looking place to go for a wild swim. You know me, right? If there's a very weird or cool or beautiful place for me to take a dip, I'm gonna do it.
It was meant to be a simple Dartmoor hike. Eleanor had grey skies above, coffee in hand, and boots sinking into the wet moorland. Her plan was peaceful. Hike to an abandoned quarry, then take a cold, wild swim. The place, according to her AllTrails app, was long forgotten, eerie, and perfect for solitude. She followed the trail, laughing at muddy boots and filming as usual.
Yeah, it's over there. I'm literally like sat in so much animal poo right now. I'm missing it by like that much. This is really deep, boggy grass. I was sunk down to my knees just now. I was like, whoa, I'm getting closer though. Oh, that is very sweet. F-A-W-H?
The quarry, once hidden, revealed itself like something unearthed from a storybook. Jagged cliffs surrounded still black water. Crumbling mining ruins loomed nearby. Eleanor stripped behind a rock and stepped into the pool. The cold bit hard, but the surface was unnaturally calm.
There's a really, really weird noise coming from up there. I don't know if someone's wild camping and pumping up something, because that's what I can hear. It sounds like that. Either that or it's extremely loud, heavy panting. God, I hope it's someone wild camping. Anyway, Dartmoor is like a military training base. They do a lot of training around here basically, so I had to check the times for when they were doing that. There's various areas on Dartmoor where you can wild camp, and this falls under one of the legal areas you can do it.
Then a sound echoed through the trees, mechanical, steady, and wheezing. It sounded like heavy breathing or something inflating.
Yeah, it was coming from up there. It is pretty eerie when you're on your own. Oh my god, oh god. I can still stand up. It's getting very cold. I think it's time I get out. I'm making it my goal this summer to find as many cool places to wild swim as I possibly can. So I'm going to count them up and see how many I can check off. A lot of cool hikes I want to do as well. I think that if I can find some really nice campsites or like places like this to wild camp in this summer, I can do like a lot more vehicle camps and tent camps, wild camps. It's going to be really, really nice.
She kept swimming and smiled for the camera, but her voice changed. The sound followed her even after she got out, this time lower, nearer. While drying off, she kept glancing behind. The tension was thick.
Just starting to get very chilly and quite dark actually. That was a bit risky than getting undressed and then dressed, trying to keep my towel around me. I did keep hearing that noise, so I don't know what it was. It could have been an animal. Typical YouTube video. Oh, I went somewhere really strange and there was someone watching me. Until actually, you know, that happens and then I'm screwed because I have to put that video up. I don't know if I can get down here. Oh no, I can. Where's the car park? It's in the distance over there. No, how do I get down? Oh my God, I didn't even know that was there. Where the hell is the car? It's beautiful. I did bring this. But oh God. Ah! Whoa. I just put my foot in that.
The trail back was worse. The route seemed wrong. She muttered to the camera, "Where's the car?" The terrain had shifted, boggier, sharper. She rushed through reeds and rocks she didn't remember crossing.
Places on Dartmoor, yes, it does feel a little bit eerie. And I don't know if it's because I was completely alone. Like, a part of me wishes I had someone with me so that I could ask them how they felt about it. But then again, I might not have got the same experience because, you know, when you're on your own, you're not distracted. You're just you there in the environment, in the present moment. I do like to think there's an explanation for a lot of these things, but I'll be honest, that place was eerie as hell. And I don't know if it's because of the noises I heard or just the overall vibe itself, but even more so than the place where I actually swam, this place is where I felt it the most.
Later that night, safe in her driveway, Eleanor still couldn't shake the feeling. She recalled another quarry she once explored, Kennel Vale. That one had a tragic history too, and there she felt the same thing, eyes on her.
It was like, I don't want to be here. What I do find fascinating as well is that, and I've just realised, is that both that quarry and Kennel Vale were mining places. Kennel Vale actually had multiple explosions over the years, which led to a lot of deaths. That's why that place is known to be haunted. Something was off. That was a stronger feeling more than any haunted hotel that I've been in, more than any haunted place that I've explored. All my hairs on my arms were stood up.
She tried to believe it was just her imagination, but there were no other hikers, no air pumps, no wind. That place, she said, was haunted, and it knew I was there. If you thought that was terrifying, just wait, because the next encounter will make you never want to step foot in a cornfield at night again. 4. Bones in the Borderland.
Yeah, and we happened to come across some weird stuff. Like we found a little kid's shoe.
Well, first we found some pesos, or Coin found some
Yeah,
pesos.
I was walking and found 2 pesos.
Coin and Jen from the channel Wiggins Wild World had been documenting their journey developing 20 untouched acres near the US-Mexico border. Most of their videos were about clearing brush, placing boundaries, and building from nothing. But one trip into the furthest corner of their land took a disturbing turn.
We're out here today on the property, trying to find the last corner marking of the first 5-acre parcel we're going to develop. And we're doing it by sight because it's kind of fun getting to not hide and seek, but kind of hunt for something.
They set out to find the last marker of a 5-acre stretch, nothing more than a relaxing afternoon using old-school sight lines to verify corners.
For whatever lives in this hole. Hopefully they'll like it. We found, first we found a couple pesos and we're like, that's cute, washed away from Mexico.
Like I was just walking, I kept finding stones, and then all of a sudden I looked down and I thought it was an Apple AirTag, and it was
2 pesos.
2 pesos from like 98 and 92.
And then we found like
Nobody's ever lived here.
no one's lived here before. This is totally undeveloped land. And there's.
But as they walked the dry terrain, they noticed something strange. 2 Mexican pesos half buried in the dust. Not rare, but definitely out of place.
Around, and he was like, this feels really heavy. And then I shit you not, we looked at this tree that had like some kind of nest under it. Well, we're going back towards it, so I'll take a video. But and then he found a bone on it, and I'll have to take a picture of that bone. But it could be like either a tiny fibula or a tiny femur. It would have been, but pretty cool, or not pretty cool, but pretty wild. Coin just whacked me.
Dude, it slipped off my fucking shovel.
Slipped.
Oh, we found a little kid's
Start over.
Okay.
I just pressed play, sorry.
It's okay. So we just found a little kid's backpack, like a kid-sized backpack. which wouldn't be too alarming.
That's when the air shifted. Jen described it as having cemetery vibes, and not long after, they found a bone. It was thick and oddly clean. Could have been from a deer, but its size raised darker questions. Then came the child-sized backpack. It wasn't torn by animals or rotted by time. The front pocket had been clearly slashed, deliberate, not accidental.
So it would be different if it was just the shoe. But we found a little kid's shoe. We found a little kid's backpack. And we found this bone under that tree.
Who knows, though? Sorry, buddy.
A few feet away was a child's shoe, sun-bleached and abandoned near a tree. As they scanned the area, more bones appeared. Some had unnatural edges, too sharp, with joints cleanly severed.
Can't see us.
Hey, Jen.
Oh, but there's cars coming. That's okay? Okay, well, we're just recording this because we called a non-emergency line about the bones and everything we found earlier. Our coin called. And now we're going to go meet a deputy sheriff out at the property to show him the bones we picked up. Shouldn't have fucking moved them. But we didn't want them. I don't know. I want to say...
I didn't expect them to be like, yeah, take me out in the middle of the boonies where you found some random scattered bones.
And I kind of thought they were deer bones, even though they do look a lot like human bones the more I think about it, but you never want to...
Trying to stay calm, they called the sheriff's non-emergency line. A deputy came, took the bones, and listened to what they'd seen and felt. Something about the place was wrong. It felt like a graveyard with secrets whispering from the soil. If this encounter sent chills down your spine, hold on tight, because the next one is even more terrifying. 3. The River Scream. The man behind the TikTok account @psychosocial wasn't chasing followers. His page had barely any content, just a few calm kayaking videos, the kind you'd stroll past without thinking. But then came the post that changed everything. One single sound came that nobody could explain and that nobody could forget.
However, during a trip near New Braunfels, Texas, a calm kayak outing suddenly turned into a disturbing situation. It was so unsettling that the creator stopped what he was doing, grabbed his camera, and called the police. The stream started like any other, with the creator enjoying a peaceful day of fishing along a river, drifting leisurely and soaking in the evening breeze. But as he approached the base of a bridge, an unusual sound pierced through the usual sounds of nature, something so chilling and unexpected.
It started like a dream. The river was slow and clear, reflecting a spring sky so blue it looked painted. Trees leaned in gently along the edges. The current moved at a lazy pace. He floated along, completely at ease, letting the stillness wrap around him like a blanket. For a moment, the world felt safe.
What the hell is that noise? I'm going over there. I don't know if the stream is working or not yet, but I need to hear whatever the hell is happening over there.
Then came the scream. It was human, high-pitched, urgent, and full of unmistakable fear. The kind of scream that rips through your chest before your brain can make sense of it. He froze, grabbed his GoPro, and scanned both banks of the river.
Hey, do y'all hear that screaming? Is that something I should be, worried about?
Others heard it too. It came from beneath a nearby bridge, echoing in bursts, panicked, pleading, unrelenting. He called out, asking if anyone else was hearing it. They were, and everyone was unnerved.
Whew. I think my day's about to be ruined.
shouting loudly, frantic and originating directly beneath the bridge. His initial reaction was one of confusion, which quickly shifted to...
He paddled towards the bridge. The screaming didn't fade. It grew louder. But just as he reached the shadow of the bridge, it stopped. Instantly. Cleanly, like a switch had been flipped. The silence that followed wasn't peaceful. It was heavy. Too deliberate. Too still.
Started calling out towards the source of the sound, inquiring if anyone needed assistance. Others nearby, some underneath the bridge as well, acknowledged the noise but appeared reluctant to get involved. At that point, he made a decision.
He called out again, "Are you okay?" There was no answer. He debated going in deeper, but ultimately called 911, explaining what happened. The dispatcher said officers would be dispatched. That should have ended the story, but it didn't.
There were indications that someone had been there. Items were scattered around a spot that resembled a makeshift shelter, yet no one was visible. When he called out again, there was no response, no sign of a struggle, and no trace of the person who had screamed in distress just minutes earlier. The scene only deepened the mystery, raising more questions. Could it have been someone experiencing a mental health crisis? Was it a victim of an attack who was silenced before help arrived? The thought that someone might have been kidnapped or harmed nearby is deeply unsettling.
Before leaving, he and a few others explored the area more closely. They didn't find a person, but they did find signs. Fresh tea, recently used gear, and belongings that looked as if someone had been there just moments before, then vanished. And if you find this terrifying, then you must watch the next one. 2. The Apartment That Breathed.
Всем привет, друзья, меня зовут...
Some videos make your heart pound, but this one, it makes the air around you feel colder. On his channel, Morozov's Fan, Tim Morozov greeted viewers with his usual calm, "Hello friends, my name is Tim Morozov." But what followed shattered any sense of normalcy. Tim had been contacted by a man living over 2,000 kilometers away. The man wasn't asking for a priest, he wasn't searching for closure. All he wanted was advice on what camera could catch something. His once quiet apartment had turned hostile. Every night, the air inside dropped to a biting chill. Wheezing echoed from the corners of the room. Footsteps walked across floors that no one was standing on. It started with clinking, spoons dropping to the ground and drawers sliding open without reason. Something inside the home had begun moving things, rearranging reality. Rather than send a recommendation, Tim packed his gear and went himself.
Итак, друзья, расположился в этой комнате. Установил 3 камеры по периметру. Одна снимает зал, вторая снимает кухню, третья снимает коридор. Сейчас дверь открыта, я ее буду закрывать. Здесь, в этой комнате, установил датчик. Вот такой датчик температуры.
Upon arrival, he placed cameras throughout the hallway, kitchen, and corridor, a thermal imager set ready on the table. For a while, everything seemed calm.
Температура.
Then the numbers began to fall. It was 20 degrees just minutes ago, Tim said, his voice low. Then, without anyone touching it, a drawer jerked open right in front of him.
Это звуки из ванной. Здесь есть кто-нибудь? Черт. Эти звуки из ванной. Твою мать. Там тень прошла. Черт возьми. Кто там? Дверь закрыта. Капли воды. Я не знаю, что здесь происходит, но я явно видел тень проходящую. Друзья, мне реально становится в этой квартире не по себе. Только что в ванной за дверью я видел кого-то или что-то, и это не может быть шуткой жильца. В ванной комнате никого нет.
In the bathroom, a noise stirred, the sound of shuffling, like someone adjusting their weight behind the door. Tim approached, and the door slammed shut on its own. Moments later, water began dripping steadily from the faucet. A faint, unmistakable shadow slipped past the bathroom door. "This can't be a prank," he whispered. "There's nowhere to hide." He turned on every light, checked the monitors. Nothing. Yet the apartment didn't feel empty.
Разделил тестовый режим и включил рацию. Сейчас хочу попробовать вызвать это существо на разговор, чтобы оно мне ответило. Я знаю, что ты здесь. Я хочу узнать, зачем ты сюда пришел? Почему ты здесь? Что тебя здесь держит?
Trying to communicate, Tim brought out a spirit radio and a Ouija board. "Why are you here?" he asked the darkness. There was no reply, but the weight in the air said enough.
Как я понял, оно проявляет себя в определенные часы ночи. Поэтому с сегодняшней съемкой я уже заканчиваю, и мне нужно уезжать. Дома я пересмотрю материал, сделаю монтаж, посмотрю, возможно, я что-то не увидел, и, скорее всего, возможно, снова вернусь в эту квартиру.
As he packed his things, Tim left viewers with a warning. Whatever this is, it only comes out at certain hours. And when the screen faded to black, it wasn't silence that lingered. It was a presence. But if you think this was terrifying, wait until you see what happened to the next person who ventured too far into the unknown. 1. The River Spirit. It was supposed to be a peaceful night alone by the river. The vlogger had packed light, just his cooking gear, a flashlight and a camera, and made his way deep into the countryside. With no village noise and no one nearby, it was the perfect place to unwind, cook dinner, and film another episode for his viewers. The video began the usual way, the soft crackle of a fire, bamboo leaves rustling gently overhead, and his familiar greeting layered with upbeat background music. He cooked, he smiled, and he invited his audience to sit and enjoy the stillness with him. But then, as he sipped the last of his tea, the tone shifted.
Oke teman-teman, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Di mana kabarnya ya? Semoga saya. Oke. Kita langsung ceritakan di lokasi ini kenapa saya akan bermalam di sini, karena ceritanya cukup horor dan cukup menarik banget bagi saya teman-teman, dan kita akan ceritakan secara
With a more serious expression, he revealed why he had come to this particular riverbank. Months ago, the body of a man was pulled from this very water, his limbs bound to a rock tied to his back. Locals hadn't known he was missing until strange things began happening in their village.
Itu pernah ditemukan mayat laki-laki sedang diikat kakinya dan tangannya teman-teman, terus dibuang.
One by one, houses reported late-night knocks. Each time, they opened the door to find a pale, silent man standing in the dark. He never spoke, he just stared, then vanished. It happened again and again until someone finally reported him missing. By then, it was too late.
Memang rambut kok kayak toh. Memang rambut telah nimbul dari dataran sungai gitu teman-teman. Ini rambut manusia kok, nggak ada jasadnya gitu ya. Jadi bapak-bapak itu pulang ya, manggil warga.
The vlogger came here to spend the night to see if anything might return. He said he brought extra batteries just in case and positioned cameras to face both the river and his tent. But nothing could prepare him for the way the air changed after midnight. It grew heavy, too heavy. Even the insects stopped. He didn't expect much, but then his cooking pot moved. Footsteps splashed in the shallows, bamboos creaked above his head, and when his flashlight dimmed and the camera began to fail, he knew something was wrong. Hours later, The pot had moved again, this time to the river's edge. And just before dawn, the CCTV camera captured something he couldn't explain. He didn't say what it was. But as he packed and walked back through the forest, he looked back at the water and whispered, "This place isn't empty." If that left you feeling uneasy, hit like, subscribe, and don't wander off just yet. The next story might be lurking closer than you'd ever expect. And whatever you do, never ignore the quiet, because sometimes silence is the loudest warning of all.